Behind me you can see two aquariums and a little bit of a third. The one that is running is a 20-gallon long, which I have had since fall of 2024. The bigger one that you see empty is a 55-gallon that I got off of Facebook Marketplace for free, tank and stand, and I'm going to walk you through my refurbishment journey as I restore this tank and set it up. Before I do that, I want to take you a little bit through the story of the 20-gallon, which is behind me, running, and give you a little bit of an idea of how that evolved. And essentially what I want to do is take the 55-gallon that you see standing empty on the stand and turn it into something like what the 20-gallon is today. So let's take a closer look at the 20. So here is the close-up of the 20-gallon long. It is 12 by 12 by 30 inches on about a 32-inch stand. And it is heavily planted with CO2 injection using the UNS dual-stage Pro Regulator. And it is a community tank that has about 25 green neon tetras, one red High-Fin Platy, a couple of snails, some Corydoras Julii, Neocaridina blue shrimp, and a couple of Nano shrimp. The plants are a mixture of Leopard Vallisneria, Dwarf Aquarium lily. There is also some water Wisteria and a little bit of hornwort growing in the corner. As you can see, the Leopard Val has really taken over the tank. This is a dirted planted tank, so there's a layer of dirt and then a layer of fine river gravel on top of that. And so the heavily root feeding plants like the Val have really taken over. The Dwarf Aquarium lily, which I'll show you from above in just a second, is also a heavy root feeder, and it has totally exploded in recent months. I've gotten it much more recently. What I'll show you next is the top of the tank and give you an overview of the equipment that I'm using to run this. And I want to essentially take a bigger version of the equipment and replicate it on the 55-gallon. Here we are at the top of the tank, and you can see here some of the equipment that is used, as well as the Dwarf Aquarium lily pads, which have started to grow at the top of the tank. What I like about the Dwarf Aquarium lily is that it keeps the algae down. In general, any kind of surface plant, whether it's a lily pad like this or a floating plant, helps reduce the light. It filters the light, and so for me, algae has gone to almost zero in this tank. You'll also see the light strip. This is a 30-inch 2-strand LED light strip from Dustin's fish tanks, which I highly recommend, and I'll put that in the description. This is the inflow and outflow of the ZoomEd Nano 30 canister filter. And then here you have a Fluval 100-watt heater. This is the CO2 resistant tubing that's going to the CO2 diffuser. Very little CO2 is being injected into this tank right now, but still some. And then this is the airline tubing that goes to the sponge filter, which is from Aquarium Co-op. For anyone curious about the other aquarium that was visible in the initial shot, this is a 5-gallon Fluval all-in-one kit. This is the, I'm forgetting the name of it, Spec or Spectrum, something like that. And the substrate here is Fluval Biostratum and Seachem root tabs. And then you have dwarf hairgrass, again Leopard Vallisneria, a couple of other plants. There's a few strands of hornwort floating around, and then a Storogene repens, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I've also stuck some pothos in the top, and this is also running a standard 2-strip LED from Dustin's fish tanks. The filtration is internal. It's the all-in-one, and then the canister filter that you see on the right is the ZooMed Nano 30 that's filtering the 20-gallon above. Now that we've had an up-close look at the 20-gallon and a little bit of the 5, I'm going to move to the 55-gallon and show you where we're starting from. And the objective of this video series is to illustrate the complete from to, going from an old aquarium that you may have gotten for free or for just a few dollars, and how to take that and turn it into a thriving, high-tech CO2 injected, planted community tank. Here's our first up-close look at the 55-gallon. This was a freebie off of Facebook Marketplace, tank and stand. It included, well, it just included the tank and the stand, and there were a few accessories. It was a turtle habitat, and it's been standing empty for the last 2 years. So it's definitely going to require some work, starting with descaling the inside. So you may be able to see there's some white buildup here. I've already started taking it off on the left. And then the next big project is going to be resealing it. So you see the seams over here. The silicone is looking a little bit crusty. This aquarium was made in 2013. I know that because there's an orange sticker right here that says that that's the year it was made. So it's definitely due for a reseal. The stand, I'm not sure if it's going to be robust enough to hold up this tank once it's full of water. A 55-gallon stand needs to hold over 600 pounds if you have the tank full of water and hardscape. And this stand, I'm not sure is going to do the trick. It doesn't look very reinforced. And there are a couple of cracks. You can't see them here, but there are a couple of cracks along the bottom and the back. So I'm going to have to get a second opinion before I decide whether this stand passes the test. But we're a long way from pouring water into this thing. So the stand is a problem for another day.